swear to God, I'm taking over 19. Hey, back, hit a quarter million. When it's here, pretty chilly. I've been trying to find me really well. Silly, yo, I be gone like Cheerio. Really though, swear we finna get the goal. You the goat, but the most been getting old. Standing still, yeah, I'm getting way too cold. Like it's uno dos, I go single on these hoes. Doesn't songs, doesn't shows. Guess that's just one way to grow.
We're live. Dynasty Degens is here. Mike joining momentarily. Off we go with
StreamYard just crashed on me. I'm sorry, buddy. I just got booted off. Hey, all right, Dynasty Degens. Sorry for the delay, you guys. How we doing? We are past draft weekend. We are into rookie drafts right now, and we're gonna have some fun with it. I think you got already the intro of my guest today, but I think there's no introduction necessary. No fluff needed for this man right here. I'm sitting next to the Podfather. How you doing, Matt?
feeling great, man. Can't talk enough rookies right now.
Yeah, I know that you've been back to back to back. You guys had the weekend over there in the house. You guys killed it with content over there. I've been watching you guys constantly, and with the couch guys and everything you guys had situated over a Player Profiler. I was pretty impressed with everything that you covered, so that was awesome.
You got to come next year, man. We're gonna be in Pittsburgh.
I know. Dude, that's nice and close, man. I could drive down there if I wanted to.
Dude, let's do it.
I'd love to, but yeah, I'm not even gonna do the intro. I'm not even gonna get into it. I figured the best way to start this off is to just pretty much ask you who you were most excited through the draft. Like, who got you up out of your chair, and who were you like, all right, baby, high fiving or whatever you were doing?
I mean, it's very easy. This is the easiest answer ever. RJ Harvey was by leaps and bounds. I mean, we were so far out ahead on RJ Harvey where I had to dial it back a little bit because I'd have some people on and they had, RJ Harvey down much further, expecting him to be sort of fourth round pick. Remember, I talked to Lord Reeves, and he talked about his low scores in the pass blocking scores and some of the lack of efficiency as a receiver out of the backfield. And he did sort of plateau as a receiver, where you see some of these guys like Amarian Hampton consistently growing their receiving share, their target share year over year, where RJ Harvey really felt capped as a receiver out of the backfield. So I was like, okay, he's capped as a receiver in terms of his growth. He's 24 years old and he's not excelling in pass pro. Yes, he runs a 4.4 and he looks like a dynamic NFL playmaker, but I don't trust the NFL to draft a guy like this and give him the opportunity he deserves right away. It's going to be a process. And so we calibrated the rankings accordingly. We had him in his own tier. So on Player Profiler, on the Dynasty rankings, the rookie rankings, we had RJ Harvey separate and apart from all the other running backs. It was like there was a big 5 or a big 1 or a big 1, 2, 2 is really what it was. It was like 1, 2, 2, 1, where you had Genty in his own tier. Then it was Trevion and Hampton in their own tier. Then it was Judkins and Johnson in their own tier. And then by himself was Harvey. And I mean, the analysts I respect most, we're talking about Alex Dunlap from Roster Watch, Cody Carpentier, they sort of headlined our draft coverage. They were getting him at like 55, 60% ownership in Fast Draft. So when you go to the portfolio tab on Fast Draft, there you can see your exposure to each player. And they had over 50% exposure to Harvey. That means in every other draft, they're getting Harvey, if not more. And so when he goes second round and he goes ahead of Caleb Johnson, I mean, that was just like I couldn't believe it. So ready for Caleb Johnson to go to Denver. It made so much sense. And yet, no, they just happened to have RJ Harvey rated higher. RJ Harvey's a lot faster, more explosive. Makes sense. You give the ball to RJ Harvey, probably could do a little bit more with it in any given touch than Caleb Johnson. So again, these are all things that if I were running an NFL team, I would execute this way. But the idea that the NFL would get it so right with RJ Harvey, just like they got it so right with Tet McMillan, was a real surprise to me. I'd heard so much smoke about Tet McMillan falling We'd heard a lot of smoke about Shadur Sanders falling. So some of the smoke is real smoke. Some of the smoke is just vapor. So we had some vapor, we had some real smoke, and no one was talking about Harvey in the second round. Not a single person. I mean, it was not a thing. Not a thing.
That
so
shocked
to
me.
be as bullish as anyone and yet not bullish enough and have him land in the nuts, it was just like, whoa. Even now, it's still hard to process where because there was so much residual affinity for Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson's still going before Harvey, even though one was a second-round pick, one was a third-round pick. Even though one landed in a better spot with a better quarterback, better offense. And I admit it. And I admit if I'm playing the game, in Superflex 2QB, and I'm at the 111, and Johnson and Harvey are there, I admit I might play the game theory game and go Johnson thinking I get Henry, or go Golden thinking, okay, if I take Golden here, Harvey and Johnson still available. Let's just hypothetically. So it's super flex. Let's say Dart goes early, something like that, right? And it just so happens to line up where you think you could potentially get Harvey at the 202.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it. I mean, I would because I don't trust fantasy gamers to completely recalibrate after months of analysis. It's very hard for anyone to do that, to unanchor themselves from Caleb Johnson or Emeka Egbuka and make that hard pivot to Harvey after they were drafting him in the third round in mock drafts not so long ago. So that's an interesting element. So you had the shock factor of the landing spot, then the digestion of how good this is. It's so good for Harvey, what it means, but then also in real life, in real drafts, where are you getting him? How can you get him? How can you maximize your exposure to him?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the move, because I think I've been telling everybody you are going to take Caleb and then move off of Caleb for one of these guys. Like obviously Harvey's the one that you want to go for at this moment, because the value there is incredible and you're going to get a plus on top. And I don't even know if it's possible at the moment right now, but we are in this scheme of dynasty theory where it is incredibly hard to shift, especially when you're talking about a week after the actual NFL draft.
So the way it could play out, the scenario I just laid out, is in tight end premium superflex. So in tight end premium superflex, it's very possible that Loveland and Warren go early.
Mm-hmm.
So Loveland and Warren go before Caleb Johnson and RJ Harvey. That's very plausible. Then all you need is one receiver, right? You just need one receiver, and all of a sudden, boom, those guys are available at the very end of the first round. Then you could factor in what if Dart goes. So you move up Dart, you move up Loveland. Suddenly, it is conceivable that someone could draft Johnson and Harvey at the 12, 201 turn. I mean, if you had those two picks, right? If you had those turn picks. But let's just say it wasn't a snake draft. Let's say it's traditional rookie draft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm at the 1201. I'm just gonna let my league mates make these mistakes. You never know, man. You Superflex, especially, you see guys taking tight end way too early. They were Superflex leagues where I saw Kyle Pitts go ahead of Jamar Chase 5 years ago. That's a thing that happened, and I'll never forget it. So who knows where Loveland could go in a particular Superflex tight end premium draft? Same with Warren. Same with Dart. They all get moved up. If you're a champion, if you won your league and you're sitting there at the 112, it's very possible you could get Harvey.
Oh, absolutely.
It is very possible. It's unbelievable. Like I said, there are instances where I somehow had multiple picks at the end of the first or end of the first, early second. Sometimes you're not guaranteed to get Harvey at all, but if you push it right? If you push it maybe a pick or two, force your opponents to pick him. Sometimes they won't. They're like, late second round. He's not going to be a full-time player. Audric Estime is there. You could totally see this happening. And like they're just going to go Igbokwe. Right? They're just going to go Dart. They're just going to go Loveland. And then click, click, click. All of a sudden, Harvey is available at like the 202.
And for the sake of conversation, you're talking about Harvey immediately producing, but you think Igbokwe value-wise for Dynasty is the pick if you are...
No.
See, that's the thing. You're going to take...
I'm just saying that Igbokwe is the anchored pick. He's the guy with the Ohio State resume who was drafted first round, top 20 pick. Doesn't matter that he went to Tampa and he's not going to play as much in his rookie year. He's not going to produce much. He's going to play plenty.
Sure.
You know, McMillan is one of the big losers from this draft. So Igbokwe is going to play, but is he going to produce? Is he a guy you're starting? Probably not. But there's so much affinity for the wide receiver position, and the tight end position in tight end premium leagues that you could so see this happening where these couple running backs fall Harvey or Johnson, because you have both Harvey and Johnson now, because that's 6 running backs in the first round. And you happen to have people that need quarterback. You have people that need tight end. You have people that just have this rule that they are drafting wide receiver before they're drafting a running back, all else equal.
Yeah.
And that will inevitably push a Johnson and a Harvey to the very end of the first round, and then sometimes into the second round. And I've seen plenty of drafts where this had people send me screenshots. You send me screenshots at fantasy_mansion. Show me where Harvey went in your draft. And it's like, you won't believe this. I'll believe it. Show me. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes he goes after Trey Harris.
I've seen him as late as the 204 or 205 at this point.
You can see him going after Trey Harris, after Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's very possible. Now, the crazy stuff could happen. I mean, there's some people that love Cam Scatterbo, and they would do crazy stuff. Like, I'm going to take a 4th rounder over a 2nd rounder.
Yeah.
Because they had Scatterbo as like a mid-2nd round pick in the NFL draft, and they had Harvey as a 4th rounder, and then the actual draft flipped the two, but they refused to flip their assumptions about how talented these players are, and they're just locked in, and they're gonna go Scatterbo there. They're going Scatterbo at the 202. Now Harvey's at the 203, and you're like, wait a second, is this really happening?
Yeah, I think that you're right though, and I've seen it. I've
been at the 204, dude.
Many rookie drafts.
204.
Rookie drafts, people are going up for the tight end premium, and you're right. I've seen it burn so many people, and everyone's chasing that Brock Bowers type of production. Everyone's like, okay, everyone's kind of almost ruined the theory of the tight end. I think everyone just wants that positional void, the way that you go for QBs nowadays in a superflex league, and it is nice. You get the value in the back end. But if we're talking about Loveland and Warren, obviously Loveland is in the money spot comparatively speaking, but would you go with either of these guys in the first round, or do you want to wait on the tight end position in general with this class? If you need a tight end.
I want Warren. Warren was an absolute mega producer. Like, Warren is prolific. I want him. I want him in the first round. I have him right there with these running backs. With Johnson and Harvey, Warren, they're all right there in the mix. I have him ahead of, the next tier of receiver. So, of course, you have Ted McMillan, you have Hunter, you want those guys, and then you want a guy like Tyler Warren.
Yeah, and that doesn't scare you at all, the QB situation? Are you going to just tap that guy regardless of outside situation, possibility of maybe trading Loveland for Warren plus down the road, or are you just going to go Warren, kind of wait on it? I think Warren's going a little later as we're talking, so it's just people are adjusting to that. They see that
it's ridiculous. I think this is absurd. The receivers in Indianapolis are far inferior to the receivers in Chicago.
I agree.
Chicago already has a tight end, a 2-way tight end that most teams would covet in Cole Kmet. So there's a very high bar for Colston Loveland to reach to start getting targets at a volume level that anyone's going to care about, right? It's not that big of a leap to say, okay, the Colts are moving on from Anthony Richardson. It's Daniel Jones or whoever it is, Joe Flacco next, or Jameis Winston after that, whoever it's going to be, right? Whoever it's going to be a year from now. And they're going to move on from Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman is already in massive regression.
Sure.
And it's going to be down to Adonai Mitchell and Josh Downs. Adonai Mitchell on the outside, Josh Downs on the inside, and then tight end up the seam. I think that you could see the targets consolidating and the quarterback upgraded in the next 6 months in Indianapolis. It's a very easy scenario to envision unfolding, where we're talking years in Chicago. We're talking years. We have Caleb Williams has to evolve and grow, develop, get better, improve to start to carry an offense with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. And then the tight end has to come along after them in the target pecking order.
Sure.
When and where and how long Cole Kmet stays in Chicago is totally unknown. This idea they're just going to move away from him. He's a very different player than Loveland. Loveland's more of a move tight end. I think that they drafted because they drafted Loveland because they like the idea of the 2 tight end sets post Keenan Allen. I love it. We're going way more 12 personnel and moving away from 11 personnel. It's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, if people think that Kmet's going to
do the same thing.
Kmet's not getting faded out of this offense. He's still going to be worked in. I think you're right, though. They're going to be doing the 2 tight end sets. And I always tell people, Ben Johnson doesn't equal Sam Laporta. That's not how this works. And I love to believe that. But ultimately, they're doing this so that they could roll them out together. And you're right. You want to target the guy that's going to be the 1 or the 2 on the offense. Loveland is going to be sometimes the 1, sometimes the 4th, sometimes the 5th option at that point. So it is tough to stomach a first round. And we're talking about the 107, 108 pick, ideally is what you're looking for Loveland. And that just doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah. I mean, if I would love to trade back, if I'm not going to get, let's say one of the Travion Williams or the Amarian Hamptons, Tet McMillan, if I'm not in let's say top 5, because also Cam Ward's a great option. If you're at the 105 in Superflex, you get Cam Ward, you're very happy, right? Travis Hunter, you're very happy. So you're in the top half if you're outside the top half and Hunter and Henderson are going to be gone, Ward's going to be gone, and you're down to Judkins or Johnson or Harvey and all these, just trade out of there. Yeah. Get the hell out of there. Get back into the beginning of the second round. And then boom, somehow Harvey falls to you. Or if Harvey doesn't fall to you, then Jackson Dart will be there, a first round quarterback on a team that I know they have Russell Wilson, but like this idea that Russell Wilson is going to hold this, it's just so silly. I remember people who said before the draft, I got criticism of saying Los Angeles is going to be in the market for a running back, and the guy that fits the Harbaugh profile best is Hampton.
Yeah.
If you're Harbaugh, you're loving Hampton. You're wishing Hampton is like just Blake Corum dialed up to 10 on every dial, right? And that's exactly what Harbaugh wants, is a guy like that.
Yeah, me and Jagger had a heavy debate because he's a big Najee Harris guy, and we went back and forth on this, and yeah, it felt right. I mean, I had them not that early, but I had them at least tapping a Caleb Williams late, somebody that was going to be that hard-nosed runner, that was going to be that power back that Harbaugh loves, and we know that Najee is Najee, but I never had
that was the thing. They were saying no, because Harris is there.
Sure.
Right? They're not going to draft a running back in the first round. Why? Because Harris. Right? Why would Jackson Dart not get an opportunity in year 1? Oh, why? Because Russell Wilson. Like, just throwing these Russell Wilsons and Najee Harrises at me. It's like, it's part of the argument also for Emeka Egbuka, even though I'm not drafting Emeka Egbuka because I'd rather have Golden. I have Golden ahead, and we have Golden ahead at Player Profiler, and you can usually get those guys. They're at similar points. Golden was drafted later, but Golden's in a much better situation. But just because Chris Godwin's there, big deal.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin is not the same player that Emeka Egbuka is. He used to be 5 years ago, but he's not anymore. So, I mean, this is why holding one guy over me and like this guy, he can't produce until player X is gone, right? You know, there's no way that Tyler Warren can produce as long as Anthony Richardson's there. Well, yeah, how long do you think he's going to be there? Bro, how long do you think Michael Pittman's going to be there? It's going to open up like perfectly.
Yeah,
For Tyler Warren.
This is why people
opens up perfectly. The one situation that isn't going to open up anytime soon is Chicago. Yeah. Rome Odunze and DJ Moore aren't going anywhere, and they're really good. They're not like DJ Moore is maybe a couple of years older than Chris Godwin, but he has so much less tread worn off the tire than Godwin. Godwin is a shell of what he was because of all the lower body injuries. I mean, DJ Moore's been one of the healthiest receivers in the NFL. I mean, does DJ Moore ever miss games? No,
and it's almost identical to JSN's situation going into Seattle, where people were scared of him with DK and Tyler Lockett. But you can put that scenario, and it's almost identical when we're talking about Lockett equivalent to Godwin at this stage of their.
I'm not talking about what about all the people that are like, well, you know, get to wait a year for these receivers, tight ends you might like in Seattle. Because why? Because Cooper Kupp. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I like Arroyo. I love Arroyo.
I do too.
Don't give me Cooper Kupp. He's got to wait for Cooper Kupp to be redusted again in order to get excited about Arroyo. No way. I'm excited about Arroyo right now.
And if we are talking about Sam Darnold, like the dump off, the middle of the field is going to be overworked with this guy. And I love, you know, having somebody, because realistically, I get it. Like JSN and Kupp are very similar at play style. And I'm not sure how that's going to work out in the early on for the season, but they'll figure it out
really well for Torrey Horton. I'll tell you that.
That's what I mean. They're going to need somebody to open that up. I love Arroyo in the middle of the field. I think it's going to be, you know, an easy pick. He's going to start day one over, who's it, Noah Fant over there still? Noah Fant?
It does. Yeah, I don't care. Arroyo is going to be great. And he is teed up to be like the tight end one this year.
Yeah.
This year, he's teed up to be the tight end one. Again, I know Tyler Warren isn't going to produce big numbers this year. Things could break his way in an incredible way. Like things could really align for him. It's very possible in a way that just is not available to Loveland.
How do you
feel
about
outs that Warren has are not available to Loveland?
How do you feel about the guys a little later? So we're talking about Ferguson and who else? Mason Taylor. So these guys. So Mason Taylor, obviously, both second round guys. Ferguson traded up, going to the McVay offense with Stafford, and then Taylor. We know he's a little raw. We know what he is as a prospect, but he's profiled as possibly the second option on that team with, you know, it's a desolate wasteland when it comes to offensive weapons over there. There's Garrett Wilson. And then I'm not sure what else they're working with.
Conklin still on the team. I don't know. The guy I'm focused on is Gadsden.
Oh, that's way late. Yeah.
Yeah. They need tight end production. They've, you know, had, you know, a number of these like move tight end type tight ends in there. And now Gadsden's, you know, he's 243. He's a move tight end. You know, he's not quite fast enough to really get you excited for a move tight end. A guy that's going to be 6'5", 243, you'd like him to run a sub 4.740.
Mm-hmm.
But in exactly average athleticism score on Player Profiler for this draft class. But this guy put up 1,000 yards in 2 seasons at Syracuse. You know, 60 plus catches both those seasons, and he missed his whole junior year with an injury. Who knows what he would have done? He should probably have 3 straight, essentially and effectively 1,000-yard seasons in college. It's just that junior year ruined him. He's only 21 years old. And there isn't a lot of competition for targets in Los Angeles at all. So I am
he
loving it. I'm
also
loving it
played.
for McConkey. I'm loving it for McConkey. I'm loving it for Hampton out of the backfield. But man, I mean, I think Gadsden is teed up. They needed more than just one receiver in the NFL draft. They needed more than that. I like Trey Harris a lot. Trey Harris is a very good player, and I'm excited to see what he can do with McConkey. But they needed more weapons than just Trey Harris, and that's Gadsden. Rondé Gadsden's like he's in a great spot. How he's going to outproduce Fannin. Fannon's got David Njoku and one of the league's worst offenses. And the other thing is, it's perfect for a move tight end to go to a team that has great tackles. One of the things that hurts tight ends is when they have to stay in pass pro, and the more you face blitzes because you have weak tackles, the more these tight ends have to stay in pass pro, or they try to chip and then they can't get out in time. Gadsden's going to have the green light pretty much on every play because they're like, listen, we have Slater, we have Alt, we've got tackles playing guard because we have so many stud tackles. We have more than we know what to do with. Gadsden, you can run free.
Yeah, Gadsden's also essentially free in your rookie drafts. If you're not in a deep rookie draft, he's going undrafted in about 47% of leagues right now. So he's deep in there, and he is, I agree with you, because he's profiled as the third option in that offense. I mean, and that's being generous.
What would he have done at Bowling Green? Okay, he had 900 yards plus 1,000 yards, when you average it and round up, like averaging 1,000 yards a season when he's healthy. You put him on Bowling Green. What does he put up? 1,400 yards? Then, like, how far is he from Fannin? He has the same athleticism as Fannin. What's the big difference?
Yeah.
2 rounds of draft capital. Why? Because one guy was this mega producer and the other guy had a major injury as a junior. And that's the effective difference. One guy's a year older, and that's how you get those few rounds of draft capital. But one ended up in Cleveland. Woof.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you were telling me that they're just
Njoku's not a bum.
Expensive assets in Cleveland, that's what they should be doing. Trade Myles Garrett, trade Njoku, start from scratch, hit the reset button. Then I love Fannin, but I don't trust that Cleveland's going to do that.
Yeah. What did Njoku get signed to? I think he just signed recently to a pretty good deal. Like
I know, but I mean, again,
he got some money.
I would, if I were a general manager, I'd be happily betraying these guys that I signed deals with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't. What am I going to do with Myles Garrett? He's just going to help us win a game or two. We'd rather lose.
And their quarterback room, I have no idea how to assess that at all. Who's their day one starter for you? If you had to just throw it out there, shot out of a cannon.
I want it to be Sanders. I think it'd be really fun if Sanders could win the job.
Great. I would love that. I would love that.
I would love it, but like, it's not going to be Sanders. It's not going to be Deshaun Watson. I mean, let's see how old Joe Flacco is. It's not going to be Kenny Pickett. I think by process of elimination, it's going to have to be Flacco. You'd love to see them not need him, but Flacco's 40 years old, man.
So yeah, they have like 7 quarterbacks on a linear line right now. It is incredible. They're rostering, they're like that old Dynasty team that just aged out when it comes to their quarterback room, and they're just tapping 4th, 5th, 6th round quarterbacks.
Flacco was an underrated athlete, man. He had
I agree.
Great agility coming out. He had the best athleticism score of the quarterbacks in his class. He's 40 years old, but like, he can still sling it. That arm still works, man. The arm still works. He shows up early, he stays late. Coaches love him. He's going to start a bunch of games in Cleveland, and it's going to be great for Jerry Jeudy. No quarterback rush attempts, maximizes the targets for the receivers. So congrats to Jerry Jeudy. Congrats to Tillman. Having Flacco back there is a boon.
Hell yeah.
And it's good for David Njoku.
And we're going to transition from old quarterback to old quarterback. And let's talk Tyler Tyler Shuck is the pronunciation we're talking backstage. I've been calling him Tyler Show for the last 3 years, I think. But
Shug or Shock or something like that. Yeah.
Shuck.
That guy Shock should play. He should play. I want him to play. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't play. He's better than Spencer Rattler and Derek Carr. I mean, he gave everything he could, man. He gave up his health, playing injured, and yet the team wishes him happy birthday on social media, and the post just gets eviscerated. And I'm like, man, I really hope Derek Carr doesn't look at this because he played pretty well. And
I think if the team's wishing you happy birthday on social media,
they shoulders all the blame. It's not fair.
You're cooked. Yeah. I agree. I mean, he played through injury. He gave everything he had to that team. And it just scares me because I don't think he's going into a quarterback friendly environment. You know, like, could Chuck have a good fantasy outlook this year, you think?
Yeah, I think it's a nice little environment for him. I think it's nice to be able to throw to these. They have moved tight ends as well. Juwan Johnson. They really needed a tight end. I was disappointed that they didn't draft a tight end. Maybe they did. Did they draft one at all?
I don't even think so.
They really needed one. I thought that was very weird that they didn't draft one. Let's look.
What's the entire chart?
No, they still have Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson.
That's crazy.
And Taysom Hill. You know,
because we're talking about Gadsden. What was Gadsden? A 5th round, 6th round pick? They could have tapped anybody at that point.
I mean, let's see. If we look at the day
where did
3,
Gunnar Helm go? There's so many guys they could have went for.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have Olave. They have Shaheed. Who did they take? Devin Neal. They took, right? Devin Neal. I don't know. Their offense, they didn't do it. They didn't do much at all. They added. It looks like Devin Neal's the only one they really added to the offense, right?
They would have needed to draft Gadsden in the 4th round, which would have been perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable for them to draft him in the 4th round instead of Quincy Riley. But they traded with the Commanders to get this pick, Quincy Riley. They could have drafted him instead, but they went Riley, and who's a cornerback, probably going to be a special teamer ultimately. Gadsden probably would have offered him a bit more, but they like Juwan Johnson. Okay, they like Juwan Johnson. Rashid Shaheed is a fantastic receiver. He's actually an all-purpose. He can do it all. He can run every route. He can win everywhere.
I am fully in on Rashid Shaheed this year. I think he is a free tap in a dynasty startup right now. So
Olave is going to play. As long as Olave is going to play, he's a value. And you have Kamara out of the backfield. That's nice. So I think you have options at every level of the offense. I like this for Tyler Shock. I like it. I like it a lot. I think he's a great option. And when you look at these dynasty rookie drafts, he's a value. He's a value on Fast Draft. I mean, the last Origins rookie draft tournament. Origins is the rookie draft tournament that we have on Fast Draft. And he went at the 209. He went after Trey Harris, after Luther Burden, after Cam Scadaboo. And that doesn't make sense in a format, which is just like, hey, what is this guy going to do this year? I mean, it's very possible that Shock's best season is his rookie year season.
I agree. Yeah.
He's all teed up, and then they might replace him next year, but you're going to get him this year. And this is, it's too easy, man. I think you would definitely take him over Higgins, Burden, and Harris at the very least on Fast Draft, knowing that you just need production this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with that. I think that you're playing for this year redraft. I think he's an amazing value. I don't even know where the redraft rankings are and what we're talking about, but he's probably going to be a waiver claim at some point this year.
Yeah, in superflex redraft leagues, you could see him being a guy that in deeper leagues you could pick in the final rounds, or just be the first one to grab him off the waiver wire, depending on how things are shaking out in camp.
Yeah,
best ball probably too fringe. I don't know if he's getting drafted in best ball much at all.
Yeah, either way. Well, all right. So we like Tyler Shot this year. Who do you like in the later rounds? You know, we touched on the first round. We kind of touched on guys in the second, but is there any massive values, any good landing spots that, especially with that cluster of running backs that we kind of touched on a little bit? You know, there's a plethora like Devin Neal, Sampson, these guys like the Sampson Keyshawn pairing in Cleveland is I don't know what they're doing over there, but it's you know a transition to that two back system that they're hoping works out for them. But who'd you like later that you know you really want to touch on a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Taj Brooks. I have Taj Brooks right there with Samson, even though they're 4th-round picks. Woody Marks, 4th-round pick. Jaden Blue, 5th-round pick. That's a tier. Like, that's a tier. With Brashard Smith, Devin Neal, you can't go wrong. That's all. That's a very tight tier. You look at the lifetime value ratings on Player Profiler and the Dynasty rankings and the rookie rankings. It's Blue to Neal. Right? It's these 6 guys, and it's just whoever you like. You know, it's very difficult to separate them. Samson gets moved up, not necessarily because of the draft capital, because of his age. Like, he's so young. He could be on a second contract when he's the same age as Woody Marks.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yep.
That's interesting. But the guy who is, you know, young enough, he just turned 23, 6th round, but in the absolute best possible spot for a player like him is Taj Brooks.
Yeah.
So I'm all in on Taj Brooks. I know there's a lot of celebrating about Chase Brown. He avoided Judkins and avoided the worst of it. True enough. He did absolutely win. He was one of the big veteran winners from the NFL draft. No doubt about it. But they don't want him operating as a bell cow there. They've said it very clearly. And he is a satellite back plus. The teams should use him like they would use Kamara, but there's plenty of room for a Mark Ingram role there.
Yeah.
And this is the top scoring offense in the league, top passing game. There's like dump off opportunities, not just carries for Taj Brooks, but Taj Brooks was a very steady receiver at the college level each and every season, putting up 25 plus catches. And then all the touchdowns, double-digit touchdowns the last 2 years. So it's very easy to see them relying on Taj Brooks. I'm hoping what you want from Taj Brooks is you want the ball security. You don't want him having you don't want to hear anything out of camp that he's having a hard time with the playbook or ball security. You don't want to hear any of that. As long as you can avoid that and that he can be a steady, relied upon guy that's going to make the team the original 53 to start the season, then we're talking. But I think a lot of these guys are going to have no problem making the 53, man.
I don't either.
Because they're 1,500-yard runners at the college level for consecutive years. A guy like Taj Brooks, he would be going 3rd or 4th round in another year, another draft class. So I think that is just the offense I want exposure to. Like, I like Devin Neal, and not everybody does, but I like Devin Neal. And again, I think that the Saints are an underrated offense to be a part of this year, but it's not the Bengals, right? I mean, I like a lot of these guys that landed in particular offenses. Of course, I like Jaden Blue and the Cowboys, but it ain't the Bengals, man. When you go down the board, I kind of like Woody Marks on Houston as their satellite back, former receiver. But that ain't the Bengals. The Chiefs aren't the Bengals. None of these teams are the Bengals.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Taj Brooks being the guy that they're going to appreciate the most because he does all these little tiny things so well. You know, he is maybe the best guy in pass pro besides Travion Henderson, and he's got good blocking, and you know what I mean? He has vision, he sees it, he protects the quarterback, and he does all these.
You want to protect Burrow, you want to have you want ball security inside the 5-yard line. This is how fantasy points get scored, man. You get on the field, and then you're there taking that handoff at the 7-yard line, and you're going in for a touchdown. And that's how fantasy points are scored, right? If you're a rotational back, you know, if you're Ollie Gordon getting between the tackles carries for a bad offense, and it's Achane that's scoring on all the dynamic plays, It's not great, right? But what if you're DJ Giddens? You're DJ Giddens. Yeah, you're not going to be tempted to start DJ Giddens when he's behind Jonathan Taylor, just like you're probably not going to be starting Ollie Gordon behind Achane. But should Jonathan Taylor get hurt, my goodness, like Achane gets hurt, they're going to put in right? And
Sure.
it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of the same. But if it's Giddens and he gets an opportunity in Indianapolis, if you hear that he's seizing that number 2 job, that's very important. He's going to start getting drafted in best ball seasonal leagues as a handcuff to Taylor. But right now, camp hasn't happened yet. And he is perceived as a running back that got buried by the draft. Sure. And yet that's the type of guy I want, because I want that contingent upside. Yeah. Another 1,200-yard runner in back-to-back seasons. Another guy that's averaging 25 catches per season.
Yeah, Giddens is the guy that I've been screaming from the mountaintop for the last couple weeks at least, and especially after that landing spot, we're talking about somebody that he's going to sit behind JT, and we don't, JT, I don't wish any injury on anybody, but JT has shown us that he's not going to be ready for the entire season. I think there is moments where he's going to see the field, and then we're talking about long term, and if he shows out for a good amount of time, we're talking about maybe a Chase Brown scenario where they move off of JT for little to no money next year because he's off the books for $8 million or so. And I think don't quote me on that number, but
he'll
small,
always have value as a handcuff. And then if he leaves and goes somewhere else, as one of these premium signings where, hey, this guy never got an opportunity. When he did, he flashed big time. And then he gets to, become a starter somewhere. At what age? 24. He's only 21 right now.
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for also. I mean, so someone has to explain to me, okay, you much prefer Sampson to Giddens. Why? Judkins is not as fragile as Jonathan Taylor. I think you could argue Taylor's with his chronic ankle problems more fragile than Judkins. Colt's a much better offense. The difference in draft capital between Giddens and Sampson is like half a round.
Sure.
What? Who cares? What are we talking about here?
I would prefer Giddens and Woody Marks over Sampson if we're talking about if it was a linear line, if we were just talking about, okay, who are you going to take? No draft capital, no nothing. The draft capital doesn't separate them at all personally, but like if we're talking about in a rookie draft, I would prefer them all day at this point, because Mixon doesn't move me that much at this moment.
Mixon's very dusty. He's very dusty. Let's see how old he is. How old is Joe Mixon?
He's got to be 28. I'm going to say that's
20. I think he's at least 28. I was thinking he was 29. I want to pull it up. I don't want to speak out of turn here. We want to be factual here on Player Profiler. Mixon is 28. He's 28.8. He's going to be 29 when the season starts.
Oh yeah. I mean, they traded up for Marks. They traded up. Essentially, they went and they said, man, we're going to just tack on another. It was like a day 2 pick on top. I think I don't have the trade right in front of me, but they knew they wanted this guy. This was their guy. They went out of their way to get him. So that tells me they're going to play him day one. So in some capacity, I think he's going to see the field. And that's a guy that came out of USC and he's played against NFL competition. He's produced against NFL competition, and he's somebody that is in this tier of guys that, you're getting in the 3rd and 4th round of rookie drafts. So if you're already getting an NFL ready running back that late, that's free money to me. That's easy. That's easy money to me.
There's never a guy like Giddens and Taj Brooks available deep into day 3. No, it just doesn't happen, man. It just doesn't happen. Nor do you have a series of former receivers turn running back that could be excellent. All could be excellent satellite backs in the NFL, from Marks to Brashard Smith to Jaden Blue. It's special, man. It's a special group. They all landed pretty well all the way through Jarquez Hunter. I mean, Jarquez Hunter landed the worst of all these guys.
Yep.
So, that's I think he and ETN sort of close out a tier. ETN's so young, and he ended up in Carolina, where he's going to have a role with Jonathan Brooks missing the season. So he's kind of this is a prove it year actually for ETN. Before Brooks comes back, we'll see what happens, but it'll be interesting to see what he can do. And Devin Neal, I mean, when you add him to the mix, he's still only 21 years old. All these guys, it could have been worse. Like we talked about with Giddens. Oh, that sounds like the worst case scenario. No, the worst case scenario was Jarquez Hunter. I mean, Jarquez Hunter going to the Rams. I was shocked the Rams were even going to draft a running back, but they waited, especially in the fourth round. I mean, fourth round's pretty high.
You're a
I thought they might wait until like the sixth round.
I'm a quorum guy. I don't like that for anybody.
It's terrible. It's the one landing spot that was really bad. I mean, Sampson going to Cleveland, bad. And then Hunter going to the Rams, bad. The rest of these, like I said, Mark's kind of interesting. Brooks, very interesting. Brashard Smith, interesting. Devin Neal, interesting. Ollie Gordon, he'll definitely have a role because there's just slasher backs right now in Miami. Well, unless, depends. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. They have a lot of, McDaniels has a lot to work with, but I don't know how it's all going to play out. I mean, Ollie Gordon is by far the best pure runner. If we're talking about the Ollie Gordon that, is pre-injury, that he would be a first round pick, I think, if we were talking about Ollie Gordon in 2020, early 24. And, but obviously a lot of time has passed after that. And he's still, I think it's the A-Chain Ollie Gordon show over there until if A-Chain gets hurt, then they're going to plug in. Right. But I think that they're going to work best together. These two guys right there. Brashard Smith is another scenario where it's almost like an Ollie Gordon, A-Chain type deal. Ollie Gordon being Pacheco. Pacheco.
Alexander Madison's there.
Yes.
The hope is that they drafted Ollie Gordon so that Alexander Madison's a cut candidate. Alexander Madison's very much a cut candidate. If not, maybe Jalen Wright's a cut candidate. Maybe Jalen Wright ends up on the practice squad to start the season. And it's like, hey, it's not going to happen for him. Either way, Ollie Gordon's going to get in there. Ollie Gordon's going to get, because no team is going to give the offense, turn it over 100% to Achane, not even at 80%. Achane is capped at 60% opportunity share. And when he gets that, you're thrilled because so many explosive plays there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's hyper efficient. He does what Gibbs does. He doesn't need 80%, 90% of the snap share. He can produce at a high level at 50, at 40, whatever it is that he's getting in that game. So there's a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to production over there. And Tua's situation scares me a little bit. I'll be honest. I mean, all of that is a little murky, a lot murkier than it was even last year, the way that offense is moving, the way that they're going to produce. But yeah, I mean, they're going to cycle through the run game and they're going to have options, and it's going to be a fun thing to monitor. But Brashard Smith, right? I know that you were excited about this guy. I want to talk about him before we get out of here. Does he just take this job? I want to say that Pacheco is still going to be effective. He's still going to have the goal line usage, but the way that offense is, the way that they are going to be designed, I think it's going to be a pass catcher that's going to produce the most in that backfield. And Pacheco's not that guy.
Well, in the playoffs, the fantasy playoffs, and in the actual playoffs, Jerick McKinnon was winning people a lot of money.
Absolutely.
For a couple of years there. So that's what I'm expecting. Pacheco just broke his leg. and he rushed himself back, and he wasn't 100% because his leg hadn't been like fully back to its de facto strength. So now he has the full offseason to get ready, and Pacheco's an explosive player that people liked last year. He's still the same guy. There's no, I don't think this is not a ligament problem or, you know, one of these chronic health issues that he has with his lower body. So I'm actually in on Pacheco. I think that Kareem Hunt is, again, the dust of the dust. I have a hard time believing he's even going to make the team. I don't know how Edwards-Helaire can make the team. I don't know how any of these guys can make the team.
Wait, Edwards-Helaire is actually
needed
on,
a running back.
He went to the Saints. Yeah. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the Saints.
Is he really?
Yes, he is. Yes.
I thought he was still, every time I looked up, he was hanging around the roster.
He is, yeah. So he's back. It's Alvin Kamara, Kendre, Devin Neal, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire over there.
Wow. Well, good for him, man. He's going back home.
Yeah, man.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Sorry, Clyde, that I lost track of your career, buddy.
Yeah, man.
That's what happened. I remember now.
We're at 46.
The reason he's not on the Chiefs is because the Chiefs signed Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs have Elijah Mitchell and they have Carson Steele. And I think they like Carson Steele. I think Carson Steele can play the role that Kareem Hunt played last year, but with more.
Is Kareem Hunt signed? Sorry to cut you off. Is Kareem Hunt signed over there?
Kareem Hunt is still a Chief, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be cutting down. They're
going to be cutting him. He is.
Hunt's going to get
no
cut.
way this guy can. I refuse to believe it. Right, just like I refuse to believe Harbaugh is not going to draft a running back because Najee Harris. I refuse to believe that Kareem Hunt is going to be a factor.
Yeah,
Pacheco and Elijah Mitchell are very similar players, so they're going to have the same role. I could see Steele getting in there for some short yardage, and then Brashard Smith being, you know, a satellite back, giving them the juice out of the backfield. So I think this is a specialist backfield. This offense is not as prolific as it was for a bunch of reasons, but it could be back, right? If their key defensive players in the front seven are getting older, they could, if they experience any injuries in the secondary, then suddenly they have to start scoring a lot more points. The Chargers are getting better. The Raiders are a lot better, their offense. I mean, think about how much better the Raiders offense is this year. Chargers offense is going to be a lot better this year. So yeah, Chiefs will have their hands full. They'll need to be turning up the dial on the scoring this year, unlike last year where they could just basically sit on the football. So that means, again, more opportunities for these guys, in particular Brashard Smith. But it's good for the running backs in general. It's great. I love Rashee Rice. I love Xavier Worthy this year. I love all these guys. This offense is going to turn it around. There's still Patrick Mahomes. He's still Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. But it's such a thin line between a team that can rely on their defense and they can just sit on the football and they can just grind it out against Aiden O'Connell, right? Or a team that has to really air it out, has to start putting up 30 points to win, and it can change like that. We're talking about one injury on defense and your division improving, and suddenly your whole offensive philosophy has to shift. And now you have Rashee Rice back for a full season, healthy, hopefully not suspended. Xavier Worthy, hopefully not suspended. Just those two guys alone. Forget Marquise Brown. Forget Travis Kelce. Just those two guys, plus dynamism from the running back position.
Yeah, they got what, Jaden Royals over there now too. They've been just complacent because they can be. You know, they can be conservative. They can just score 18, 25 points, whatever it is, you know. I think that does change this year. I think that we're talking about Mahomes rising up back into that echelon of, I'm not going to say, you know,
elite. Yes, you can
Allen,
say elite. I mean, let's pull up his underdog ADP. His underdog ADP right now is 76. When was the last time you could get Patrick Mahomes
I want to
in
show
the 7th
you.
round of a best ball draft. I think it's
So
ridiculous to stack
in
Patrick Mahomes with Rice and Worthy and even Brashard Smith is fun. That is a winning tactic in
I want to show
FFPC
you
best ball, underdog best
our
ball.
player profiler startup, by the way. If I can pull it up. I got Mahomes at the 205 in a superflex startup, and this was not even a month ago.
What a world.
It is incredible, the
What a
value of
world.
Mahomes right now. And we're talking about Drake May. Who else is over there? We got hold on. Bo Nix, Drake May, Bo Nix, Herbert. All of these guys are going before Mahomes right now in a dynasty startup. And it's like every screen I see, I have everyone in the Discord sharing theirs, and Mahomes is 205, Mahomes is 204. He's not a first round pick in super flex leagues anymore.
Okay. I'll take him.
I know.
I'll take him. I mean, all the more reason where if you could, I like to just start with one stud quarterback in super flex, but that means you can get whoever you want. Like you could start with potentially like Gibbs or Bijan and then Patrick Mahomes, depending on how many quarterbacks go at the beginning of a super flex startup. Sometimes 3 or 4 go. So this idea that you could get like Jahmyr Gibbs and Mahomes. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can. I think that's very plausible that you are going to be able to get a top tier. You can do quarterback if you really want to. If you don't want to wait, you can get Jaden Daniels and Mahomes sometimes at this point. You know, you can grab I mean, who's at the 108, 109, you know, like you are talking about a Gibbs or even possibly a Justin Jefferson and Mahomes is a start that's possible now. And it's
I'm thinking I'm not gonna say he's gonna go to the mid-second, but 1-2 turn, late first, you know, you can get Jahmyr Gibbs at the 111, you get Mahomes at the 202. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I'm talking about. Because then who's after him? Like CJ Stroud? I mean, you'd much rather have Mahomes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's Stroud and there's not much in that range that you're going to be going for.
I mean, no, I'd rather have Mahomes.
You got to wait for the JJ McCarthy, like all the back end tier guys, like Cam Wards and all those guys are after that. There's not going to be much meat on the bone if you're going to be waiting for your quarterback then. But
I mean, on Player Profiler, on our rookie rankings and our dynasty rankings, clearly Patrick Mahomes is not in our rookie rankings, but we have him still ahead of Drake May.
Yeah,
I mean, much less Herbert, much less Bo Nix. I mean, the fact that he can fall behind those guys, I think, is a little bit. It's getting to the point of absurdity, and we're gonna see the correction. We're gonna see the big correction this year.
I agree.
With these two healthy, dynamic receivers on the outside in Rice and Worthy. And like sometimes them both bunching up. I love the idea of bunching them up and like playing Kelsey out at X. I love that formation.
Yeah.
Where they put Kelsey out at X and then you can bunch up Rice and Worthy on the right side. Oh, wow. Wow. And then you can, then you could put Brashard Smith in motion and send him out. Oh my God.
If they're working motion in that backfield, it's gonna run it back. You know, we're talking about Kareem Hunt circa 2021. No, when was Hunt? Earlier than that, 2017, 18. Before his first departure, where there was a heavy motion and they were just running him out of the backfield, and he was their wide receiver 3 on that team, and they had Tyreek opening up in the backside. I think it's just going to be that type of offense for at least a short term until, I don't know. I mean, it might last a couple years, but they have the pieces, they have the option to just run it out and have an electric offense.
So that's all to say that, I mean, Pacheco's still a value there. I know he's a 7th round pick. I know he had injuries, but it's interesting how a guy with 7th round capital, the enthusiasm for a guy like that just can die in an instant. Where you knew the injury was coming eventually. It's the right kind of injury where it's not like a reconstruction necessary, and it's a fracture. You can come back from it and be right back where he was. And yet, because he missed that time, for some reason, his value in Dynasty, even though he's still relatively young, has collapsed. But I love his situation. I love his situation in Kansas City. So you get a young player with an all-purpose skill set, and he's going to be on an offense that has a lot of hidden upside. And then you can go ahead and just grab Brashard Smith in your rookie draft. I think that's a great move. I mean, I talk about that in this book, The Dynasty Dominator, but where I am actively trying to handcuff in Dynasty, where in seasonal leagues, I would never do it.
Yes. And this would be the moment where I drop your promo, a video of you, but I have you on the pod. It feels meta to show a video of you while I have you on.
Okay.
Let's talk about Fast Draft and let's plug it here. And then we don't have to go into this.
I know we got to go, but
let's talk about the chaos and the Origins draft real quick. And then because we are touching on rookies right now. And
I mean, I think that there's a game called Flex 4, and you just draft 6 guys, top 4 enter your lineup every week. And we certainly have the rookie version too, the all rookie version called Origins, which is basically you just, again, draft 6 guys, top 4 enter your lineup every week. Use code Degen or Degens. That'll get you a $50 deposit match. So go do that, and you can leverage all this information. Go grab Taj Brooks at value. You can go get Gadsden. You can go get these guys at Jalen Royals, maybe in late, or just line up the running backs and just rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. Put a bunch of Giddens on your get 40% Giddens, and then if there's an injury to Taylor, suddenly you have lots of bites at the apple to take it all down. Where you might be in a situation where, like last year, you needed Bucky Irving in the 3rd round to be competitive. Who is that? Is that Taj Brooks this year? We don't know who that's going to be this year. But you can go take a bunch of shots and have maybe a core group of running backs you're trying to get every time in the 3rd round. And if one of those guys is the Bucky Irving of this year, then you're going to be lined up for a $5,000 first round prize. I mean, that's the most money you can ever make drafting rookies. People love drafting rookies, talking rookies. But here's where you can actually make a lot of money drafting rookies and using this knowledge. And the cool thing about just the overall Flex 4 game, where you can draft any veteran, is that the rookies tend to be still, even now, undervalued. Draft just happened. I just was watching as we were talking. A draft was happening on Flex 4. And I love to look at round 5, round 6. RJ Harvey went at the 609. He was almost undrafted.
In Flex 4? Yeah, that's
Trevion Henderson went at the 605 after Chris Godwin, after James Conner, after Khalil Shakir. I don't get it. I don't get how late these rookies go. But this is tale as old as time. In all formats, these rookies, they go too late. And if you know Dynasty and you appreciate who these rookies are and what they're going to be able to do, you can exploit that. You can exploit playing against the way too early best ballers that aren't as plugged in to rookie analysis, like those that are paying attention to everything that the Dynasty Degens are putting out, all their profiles. Oh, this player X is available. Even Omarion Hampton going at the 506 after Joe Mixon, after George Kittle, makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. The upside available to Omarion Hampton in Los Angeles is exceptional. League winning. And that game, that's a $50,000 game, and that's $10,000 to first. So there's just there's a lot. I mean, woof. And the
Yeah,
beauty
and
is
in
these
fast
drafts,
draft,
they churn in like 5 minutes, like boom, 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 boom. Like these drafts take 6 minutes, 5 minutes. So there's not the big commitment. There's not this overwhelming commitment where you feel like you have to play on the treadmill if you're ever gonna like, or while you're in a long car ride, if you're ever gonna get one of these drafts in. Fast draft, not it's very different. Like you can just rip drafts.
yeah, you can rip them. I do it all the time. I take my kid for a walk. I'm sitting there in the morning drinking my coffee. Boom, and he's absolutely right. The ADP right now is it's collective. Obviously, it's going off of months before the draft, and it takes a long time to catch up. So we are talking about these rookies, these guys that already have landing spots. You already know where they are. You already know what they're going to possibly do, their roles, like they already are set it and forget it. And they're going way back there. They're going in the 6th round. Trevian Henderson or in that late 5th or in that range right there.
I want to see if it was the same player, if there's the same drafter that was able to get Hampton. And yes, it was the same guy drafted Hampton, and then he turned right around and drafted Henderson. Like that guy, he's very happy, very happy.
He's tuned in, he gets it, and I mean, I'm going into fast draft right after we get out of here. And
the guy that was playing next to him, the guy adjacent to him, drafted George Pickens and then Godwin.
Tough.
So I don't know. That's the difference.
Hey,
You might be drafting next to someone who's prioritizing, veteran receivers with capped upside, and then you can come in and say, well, I know this is a tournament, so I'm going to go for more of the uncapped running backs.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes Dynasty beautiful, I guess. You have different builds, you have different mentalities, and if everyone was the same, we would never. This wouldn't be fun.
No, Dynasty's beautiful because it gives you an edge in these other formats.
Yeah.
In the Flex 4 format on Fast Draft, you actually get an edge there. On Underdog or on FFPC Best Ball, you have an edge because you know these rookies and you have a better understanding of what their range of outcomes is.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. And if you're not following us at Degens, definitely go follow us. We're over on Player Profiler. Matt, obviously, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you a lot hopping on. You're a wealth of knowledge. You're a peach, man, and I hope your face heals up nice. Is there anything you want to add? What are you guys cooking over there? What do you have coming up, and anything that the people need to know about that's on deck?
Yeah, well, on Fast Draft, you have Origins Gamma, which is the new $25,000 Origins all rookie tournament. This one's only a $5 entry. So previously Origins was a $10 entry. Now Gamma is $5 entry. So we're gonna have twice as many teams drafted in that one, but it's super affordable to get in there and just rip rookie drafts. So do that. And yeah, we're gonna have our draft kit coming out soon at Player Profiler. We're going to update our rookie guide soon with all the post-draft analysis. That's coming out very, very soon. So a lot coming on Player Profiler. And again, the popularity of the site is as high as ever. The popularity of the NFL Draft and Dynasty is as high as ever. So yeah, check it all out. I'm available over there at Twitter X at @fantasy_mansion.
Yes, go send Matt a DM, show him where you got RJ Harvey. He's very interested to see where he's going right now. And then, definitely follow our content on Player Profiler on X, and then also over there on YouTube. For the Degens, we have the Devi Degens pod going tonight, doing a 2027 mock. And then Dynasty, we are cooking on Thursday. So Thursday live at 10 p.m. So we'll catch you guys tonight. And once again, Matt, I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate everybody from joining us, and we'll catch you guys later tonight.
Draftfaster.com.
Draft faster.
Right back to business as usual. Straight out of what's under my cuticle. I blocked it, they picked up my coffin. Ain't it funny how